Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex. And by now, in the past few hours, if you're on Discord or Twitter or Line Chat or you're on the official forums, you've probably seen some form of mass discontent with the upcoming update. You've probably seen words and ideas thrown around about boycotts and this and that and star agents and yada yada yada. I just want to address the whole sort of wave and the movement. And I want to give you maybe a different idea that, me two years ago when the Ultimates update came out wouldn't have had this idea. But, 2 years later, I'm more mature. I've seen a lot more. I've been in the game longer as a YouTube content creator. And so I have a different perspective on it. And especially now, if you guys follow any other Marvel games, Marvel Strike Force is actually in the midst of a very well organized and well thought out boycott for their games. So it's actually funny, and it's a bit of a coincidence that two Marvel games are sort of at odds with their player base. But that is something that we're going to have to dive into and talk about. So first of all, why are people upset? Well, of course they're upset because from what the Star Agents have been able to see from the APK, there are major changes coming to characters that we've come to expect to do certain things. Characters like, not Colossus, characters like Scarlet Witch, Ebony Maw, Apocalypse, maybe not Jean Grey, but Rachel Summers, kind of like Jean Grey, but Rachel Summers, Psylocke, Invisible Woman, characters with mind control. However, what we originally reported, and this is why it's important to be patient, and this is why I want to give this sort of alternate idea to just like, let's boycott right away. The original discovery that we made and that Puppet Titan and other people made was that all crowd control effects were being affected. And I even showed you guys with Luna Snow's Charm and with Doctor Strange's Time Freeze. Now we go and look at the patch notes and they're different. So I'm not saying that this is okay and that we should be okay with it, but what I'm trying to say is that the nature of the beast, the problem, keeps evolving and it keeps changing. And we haven't actually even seen the problem ourselves because it's not in the live server. As much as we want to take the APK for what it is and it's an advanced server or whatever, the Star Agents make mistakes, I make mistakes. Pretty recently we all react, well, not all of us, but I reacted and some other people reacted saying that Namor looked really bad on the APK. Turns out they made some changes or whatever. When he went to the live version, he was suddenly very good. Now, I don't think that we're suddenly going to wake up when the update is live and things are going to be all hunky-dory. That's not what I mean. But what I mean is the proof is in the pudding. And to get angry is one thing. To voice your displeasure or your opinion about one thing is fine. And you can give your opinion without having tried something, yes. But I think a larger scale action, and I think larger scale things like a boycott or a spending halt or something like that, you need to be able to see what you're up against, and you need to be able to know what's wrong with the update by actually playing it and trying it. And I don't say that for my own benefit because I've obviously been playing the update, at least some form of it on the APK. I'm saying that for all players because I don't want you to just listen to me. It's not my boycott anyways. It's not my idea. I don't want you to just listen to whatever I say in these next videos over these next few days. I want you to have an informed opinion, and I want you to come to the conclusion that you want. And whether that conclusion is I'm going to keep playing and keep spending, or that conclusion is I'm going to keep playing and not spend, or unfortunately if that conclusion is I'm going to stop playing, or whatever the conclusion may be in between, there's tons of different options, you have to come to that conclusion. But I think it's important that the player base experiences the update before coming to a final conclusion. People who are able to say already that they know exactly what the update's going to be like and they're already super angry and they just want everything changed right now, those people are probably not doing it for the right reasons. They're angry, but they're reacting to just their emotions and they're not actually thinking things through. I'm trying to be logical. I'm trying to think things through. I want the game to be fixed. I don't want the game to get flushed down the toilet. We want this game to be around, whether you are a free-to-play player and you've invested your time. That's something you're never going to get back when the game, eventually closes its doors. Whether it happens in 2 years or 5 years or 10 years, it's going to happen. And then for paying players or for whales, etc., they have the money to lose that they've invested. So I'm trying to, and I want to protect the investment of all players, whether it's a free-to-play player who's invested their time and invested their time, planning things out outside of the game because they have to do so much planning and so much strategy in order to make their crystals go further and stretch, to the next update, or it's the investment of people who have thrown thousands of, tens of thousands of dollars into this game and don't want to see it, suffer a worse fate. So that's why I think a knee-jerk reaction, and that's why I think an immediate boycott, an immediate negative reaction is not in the best interest of the game. Therefore, it's not in the best interests of the players. So that's what my basic idea is. I think we should play the update, all of us, play it for a few days, see what happens. If the update is as bad as we all think it is, then nothing's going to change, right? If you think that the gun was fired and you know that there's going to be, smoke and proof and evidence, that evidence is still going to be there in a couple of days, if no one tampers with it, of course. So unless the devs do some sort of emergency patches and fixes, this update will still be as negative. It will still be as much of a destruction of characters like Scarlet Witch and etc. It'll still be as bad as it is tonight as it will be in a few days. Now, I realize that it's easier for me to say wait and just play through it because I have a full roster. I've unlocked every single character. I can throw money at the game. I have a YouTube channel. I can recoup my losses, etc. I understand that it's easier for me to say this than not. So, you can take it for what it is. I'm basically asking you as a favor, I guess. If I've ever helped you in the game, just do me that favor. It's going to be harder, obviously. Even if it's a struggle for a couple of days, or for 2 or 3 days, we'll have a much better idea, and all players will feel much more comfortable moving forward if we need to move forward into something like a boycott or into something like, everyone is planning something specific. Players will feel much more comfortable and they will feel like they are part of something rather than feeling like they're just sheep listening to me or listening to another YouTuber or listening to someone posting something on Reddit or whatever on the forums. That's not what we want. We want all the players to feel the same way. And that's the other key part here that I'm really not seeing enough of, but I saw it in Marvel Strike Force, and I really respect for the players that said this. We shouldn't be turning against each other. That's really one of the most important things here. And you've already seen it a little bit with things like this is the fault of the Star Agents, which I've covered in a previous video. This is the fault of whales who spend money on the game. It's not. It's not the fault of any players. Players don't dictate game changes like this. That's not how it works at all. The fault might be with the devs. It might be with the shareholders. It might be with the creative directors, who we don't know exactly who, but it's someone who works on the game at Marvel Future Fight at Netmarble. It's some of those people. And by blaming other players, by blaming whales or blaming free-to-play players or blaming players of a certain alliance or blaming players, whenever you blame players, all you're doing is making it easier for the people who are actually responsible to avoid responsibility. Imagine if you are the guy trying to make money. Imagine if Marvel Future Fight is your game and you're trying to make as much money as possible from the player base. What would you rather happen if you release a greedy update? Would you rather the players all band together and aim their frustrations at you? Or would you rather that some of the players do that, but some of the other players take the opportunity to make fun of other players and attack other players? Now you have all this confusion in the community. Some people are like, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to do it? I don't like the update. Should I say something? But I don't know. Is it Alex's fault? Is it this other person's fault? You create confusion. You create disorganization. There are fewer people, upvoting links and sharing things and posting on social media. There's less eyes watching the situation as it unfolds because more people are busy bickering and fighting amongst each other. Of course, you want that second situation because then that means there's less pressure on you. But if all the players band together, if all the players have the same goal in mind, making the game better for the future, if every player has that same attitude and they all react accordingly in their own way to the devs and to the people that make the game, that's a lot harder to ignore. That's a lot harder for the devs to ignore. That's a lot harder for Marvel Games to ignore. That's a lot harder for outside news sources who cover things like this to ignore. They wrote an article about the Marvel Strike Force spending boycott as it's happening, and that generates even more attention and even more press to the game. Seaton, who doesn't even play Marvel Strike Force anymore, made a video about it. Hopefully he'll make one for us, maybe if we need it. But he made one to show support for the players, even though he doesn't play the game, because it became that much of an issue and because the players were so united. So that's what I want. I want the players to be united. Now, what the players are going to be united on, I don't know, and it's not up to me to decide. But I am just posing this alternative way of approaching the situation, because I haven't seen anyone say it, and because I think it's important to consider, because it's not what I did last time, and it's not what other people did last time with the Ultimates update. And frankly, I don't think at the end of the day we had as much success as we were hoping for, although I sort of caved, and I compromised in what I wanted. I don't think we ended up getting exactly what we were hoping to get from the Ultimates sort of, you call it, fiasco. So this time around, I am suggesting a different approach. You don't have to listen to me whatsoever, but I strongly encourage you to, A, give the update a few days, play it, let your opinion evolve, and let your opinion form itself, rather than just reacting in a knee-jerk way and reacting to what other people are telling you to react and how they're telling you to feel. Form your own opinion. B, I'm suggesting that players don't attack other players. Leave the free-to-play players alone. Leave the whales alone. They are not responsible for these problems. They didn't work on Marvel Future Fight. They're not the coders. They're not the stakeholders. They're not the marketing team. They're just players. The players need to stick together, because we are stronger the more of us stick together. And then finally, the last thing is, let's say nothing happens. Let's say nothing changes in 3 days. And that's probably what a lot of you guys are wondering watching the video. Well, Cynicalex, you're telling us to wait. That's all well and good. Whatever, fine, I'll wait for 2 or 3 days. But then what happens if nothing happens? Well, we are not in any worse of a position in 3 days than we were today. We're actually in a better position because we gave the devs time to think about what happened and to sort of roll it back. They didn't. And now we have proof that the update is bad. We have proof not only from, YouTubers and other people who make videos about it showing things off. We could have screenshots of players in certain content having a really awful time, having their characters become completely useless. So you have all of that physical evidence on top of you have the evidence of players who are actually playing the game. Imagine you're reading a review for Marvel Future Fight, and one of the reviews is 1 star, and it says, the update they're about to come out with is terrible. They're ruining the game. You might believe that person, but you might also think, maybe they're overreacting. Maybe there's more to this situation. Instead, you see, oh, the game just got an update 5 days ago. Huh, interesting. This game just got updated 5 days ago? Let me go check it out. And you go scroll through the reviews, and you're like, oh, what's this review here? Oh, I've played through the update, and I have to say, this is one of the worst updates ever. They really made a mistake this time. Huh. That's a lot more of a convincing argument. You waited. You were mature about it. You waited. You tried it. It was bad. You send it back, right? You order something at a restaurant. It comes. You got to try it. Unless it's like on fire or there's bugs literally crawling out of the food. That's a different story. But, and you could make a bugs argument here. But, you try the food. You take a spoon. You try it. It's terrible. You send it back. But we have to try it first. You don't have to. You don't have to listen to me. But my suggestion is try it first. Have a little bit of, testing on it, and then see how bad it is. It's going to be bad, as we all suspected it will be, and then we can come up with a plan. And that is the final step. That is the most important step. So if we wait 2 or 3 days, if Marvel Future Fight devs and whatever the team doesn't respond, doesn't change anything, doesn't backtrack, and the update is awful, then we can come up with, as a community, not me doing it, not you, not one person, not 2 or 3 people in a dark room, but as a community, we come up with what we want to change. And then we have the leverage of, guys, we gave you time to fix this, even after the update. The Star Agent said it was bad, the update came, the update's here, we've all downloaded it onto our phones, now's the time, right? And then we can give them our demands and say, listen, you guys took your time. You made this update. You experimented. You tried something new. It doesn't work. You need to change it. And then we can list out all of those things. But you got to try it first. You got to give it a little bit of time, in my opinion. And you got to give the devs a little bit of time as well to gauge the reaction and then respond accordingly, right? The update wasn't made in a day. So the update can't be undone or unmade or fixed in a day. You know what? Maybe the update could be undone in a day, but we don't want the update to be undone, because that just means we're rewinding back to January. I want the update. I just don't want all of the bad aspects to it, right? If they're going to change ABX, then they need to bump up the rewards by like 50 times. So, the changes have to come with certain concessions as well. But again, that would be a decision that as a community we need to make. We need to get together somewhere on a platform and talk and say, okay, what do we really need? What are we really hoping to get out of this February update? We were hoping to get these changes for ABX, these changes for Alliance Conquest, or these changes for World Boss, whatever they may be. This is what we are looking for. This is what we're going to be happy with. What you're giving us now is not okay. And then if you don't comply, if you don't negotiate with us, we stop spending. We start boycotting. We start leaving 1-star reviews. We plan for a massive 1-day logout to drop the concurrent users playing to like 50, right? Those are all things that can be done at any point. Rushing to do all of those negative things and all of those dramatic things right away, it really just serves to hurt the game. Again, we're trying to protect our investment. We're not trying to hurt the game. We're not trying to destroy the game. We want the game to be as good as it can be. So, hopefully, you guys have sat through this whole entire spiel. Thank you so much for listening. Let me know what your thoughts are on it. Hit me up on the Discord if you have more questions. Hit me up on Twitter if you have more questions. These are just my opinions, and hopefully we can fix this game and it can be better than ever. And at the end of the year, we'll be looking back on this and we'll be like, man, remember what happened in February 2020? Shucks. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a good day, and I'll see you on the live stream. Take care.